Hello and welcome to In Business Talks 2. We are thrilled to welcome you to our bonus episode, The Friday Fix. In our bonus episode, we will be discussing a business-related subject with either one of our wonderful In Business networking members or a fellow business owner who will be sharing their advice, thoughts or knowledge on a particular topic.
We're your hosts, Tracy and Ian Earle, founders of In Business, a networking and business support community. We host online and face-to-face events and we'd love to meet you, so why not come along? The link to book is in the show notes. Today's guest is Dan Holland of Pro-Development. They work with you to support the engagement and development of you, your people, your leaders and your teams to achieve business success. Welcome to our Friday Fix today. We have with us Dan Holland of Pro-Development. Welcome, Dan.
Welcome, Dan. Good to have you with us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, good to see you.
Yes, this is your first podcast.
Yes, first one ever. Throw myself in the deep end, thought I'd go in for a Friday Fix and offer a little bit of insight regarding engagement. So, hopefully you can be kind and ask me.
Yeah, of course. We're always kind. We're always kind. Just before we get into you telling us a few things about engagement, employee engagement, tell us a little bit about what your company does. What do you do?
Yeah, so Pro-Development is a employee engagement specialist. So our mission really is to become the number one employee engagement specialist across Yorkshire and the Humber. And we've got a variety of different solutions we do to try and engage employees and team members, really. So that all starts from an initial survey. So we can carry out an employee survey and that'll go across the whole business. And that's an anonymous survey. We collect all that data. And then we benchmark that data and report that back to the business to see where they can improve on. We put them on an action plan, which tends to be a 12 to 18 month action plan. And then we have all the solutions that incorporate into the action plan, such as leadership development programs. We have team building days, one-day workshops to try and actually engage them. But also we work with them and throw some advice and tips and tricks in there to kind of help them fix those problems internally as well, with the ultimate intention of retention. We want them to keep their top talent, and that's kind of what our bread and butter is. We want to be making a difference, and that's one of our core values. And the way we do that is by helping people keep their top talent and not lose out to competitors for some things. So that's pretty much an overview of Pro-Development there.
I believe you got some stats, Dan, about employee engagement and retention. Have you got a shocker that you can share with us?
Yeah, I think the biggest shocker that we'll dive into really is that disengaged employees are costing the UK economy around about £70 billion per year. We'll start with that one. That's quite...
Wow, that's biggie.
But yeah, there's a bunch of other stats that we can go into as well, down to day-to-day runnings of a business. So, for example, sickness days. An engaged team tends to have reduced sickness days, averaging around about 2.69 days per year, compared to a disengaged team that's coming in at around about 6.19 days per year. So an engaged team, they're wanting to be in a business a lot more. And ultimately that will then improve your productivity and your bottom line as well, which I have the stats for as well, believe it or not, which overall we have a 5% increase in productivity, and that's from an engaged team. And then there's a 12% increase on bottom line revenue as well from an engaged team. So there genuinely is value in engaging your team. And there's a bunch more stats as well regarding retention. I mean, there's a real insight of this: 87% of people are less likely to leave their jobs if they're engaged in their role. So it really is worth investing a little bit of your time, and that's what it is. It's time rather than monetary value. It's not all about monetary value. You don't have to spend money on surveys or anything like that. It's investing your time to actually make team members feel valued, and that's the real key to it. So the tips and tricks I can share, which I'm sure you'll ask me later on anyway. It's all about the time rather than investment. So we're not going to be advising you spend this amount of money. What I'm going to be advising is you need to free up some time in your diary for your team members, and that's basically what the tips and tricks are about later on.
Yeah, so it's obviously a benefit to have your employees on your side, isn't it, and to have that engagement with them.
And I suppose it makes sense that if people feel valued, then they are prepared to do that extra mile, the breadth, go that bit further and do it when you need them to be there. They're there, aren't they? Well, if they feel valued as a team member and you respect them and you appreciate what they do, that's definitely makes a big difference.
Even the biggest asset, I think, and I know a lot of people say it, and it's very easy to say, "Oh, my team's the biggest asset." There's only so many things that one person can do. A business owner can only do so many things. When it comes to growth or expansion or customer service, you need a team around you, and they become your ambassadors pretty much. And what you want them to do is you want them to be engaged. So therefore, they're actually living the values of your company. And that's ultimately what success looks like in engagement. If you have an engaged team, they will stick by your values. They'll be an ambassador. They'll live and breathe your mission statement. They'll really want to grow the company as your business owner. So it's kind of, there's a really good example of it. So are you familiar with the NASA story of the cleaner in NASA when they opened up NASA in the US?
Vaguely, yes. It rings a bell, but
go on.
Tell us.
Is that to do with the toilets? No, I've got that wrong.
Right, it's to do with the cleaner. So there's when they opened NASA in the US, they gave a tour. So the president had a tour of the actual grounds and the building itself. And as he was walking through, having a look around, he stumbled across a janitor. So it's an American terminology because it's in the US. So a janitor was there sweeping the floors in a corridor. And the president stopped and said to him, "So what do you do here?" And I think a lot of people would say, "Oh, I'm just a cleaner," or I'm just a janitor. His response to the president was, "I help man get to the moon."
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, if that's not employee engagement, if he's not,
that's good. That's pretty impressive, is right? Yeah,
yeah.
And there's so many businesses that can do that, but they're not doing that. So every business out there is offering a real good service. That's the reason why they exist. Their product's fantastic or their service is fantastic, but it's how we portray that to our employees that they really get them on board. I mean, for a cleaner to go, "I help man get to the moon,"
that's pretty impressive, that, isn't it? That's engagement, that, isn't it?
He's really invested. He's invested in that whole process, isn't he? That whole business,
the old ethos of the thing. Yeah.
And I'm sure people will go, "Well, it's okay to do it if you're NASA," because I mean, NASA is obviously NASA, isn't it? But everyone's got their own sort of quirkiness to it. So for example, if you're running a holiday let, you might have a holiday let business. You're actually helping people get their holidays. People save up for their holidays. You might have a team working for you on the phones or cleaners or whatever it may be for your holiday. You're helping people have a great time on their holiday. But it's very easy to get into the mindset of, "Well, I just do holiday lets." But you're not. On the other side of that, you're not. You're helping a family have a great time and a great getaway. So it's just a different spin on it. And that I think it does start from the top. It has to have the big word culture. I mean, it's been thrown around a lot at the minute. And it is ultimately the culture. If the culture's set right at the top, that is a real positive place. We love what we're doing, and this is exactly what our values are. Then the employees are going to do that as well, and they're going to have the same sort of mentality. And obviously, every now and then you're going to get what we like to call mood hoovers, and those mood hoovers are the disengaged people that they don't want to be involved in it, or something's gone wrong, so they're just disengaged. And it's just how you deal with those, and can you get them back engaged? Can you get them back on track? Or is it right for them? Because if you're a disengaged employee, I mean, we've all been disengaged in jobs. And I will come on to a stat about that in a second. But we've all been disengaged. It's just about whether that's right. Is it the right job for us? And why are we not? Why are we disengaged? And it's a very personal approach as well. So it's about the two-way communications, which, again, I can come back to when I give you.
Do you find a lot of businesses take this seriously or not seriously, sort of the employee engagement? What's your sort of opinion on that? What are your thoughts? Is it a common thing, uncommon thing? Bosses usually care what their employees think. What's the general?
I think it's very hit and miss, to be honest with you. I think there's businesses that are really, really good at it, very good at it, and they're becoming the employer of choice, so to speak. And they're finding that some of them might have high turnovers because they might attract students, for example, who are there for a short-term job. But what they're not finding is they're not finding it hard to actually recruit because they're an employer of choice. But then on the opposite end, there's businesses that are stuck in the mold of the old school way of working, if that makes sense. So, and a lot of conversation that we seem to have is about work ethic and things like that. So people are kind of dotting a line of work ethic to employee engagement, and they're very, very different. So there's a conversation we had the other day of one business owner is struggling with the younger generation because they haven't got the same work ethic as the older generation has. But they're not talking to him in the same sort of way. It's a different way of working. So therefore, these younger people are becoming disengaged. But that business owner can't actually see it like that. And that's quite a challenge because it's their way of working. Everyone's got their own way of working. And that business owner is, I work 15-hour days. Work-life balance is important. But, this is my career. And I'm there bang on 9 o'clock. I leave when I finished all my work. If I'm 1 minute late, then that's it. It's all over. So there is people still in that mindset. They're the people that quite struggle. We're struggling to actually get on board with employee engagement. But that's just an educational thing. Things are changing. So, work-life balance is becoming really important. I think priorities have shifted since COVID. I think people have realised that work isn't the be-all and all. People aren't just on the planet to work. You've got a lot more to it. People are enjoying the family time. People are enjoying the holidays a lot more, and the people that are genuinely really excelling in employee engagement, they stand out because they've got flexible working, they've got an open door policy, they've got hybrid working, they've got some of them are bringing in unlimited holidays. I mean, that's huge for some people.
You've got to have unlimited budget to fund that unlimited holidays, haven't you?
Yeah, so it's an interesting thing. That so the more you give, you're offering trust out to people. So you can offer unlimited holidays, and realistically, and there is a little bit of common sense to that. So if someone then says, I'm going to take a 9-month holiday throughout the year, then obviously, you're probably the wrong person there. They're probably not the right person. But the more you give, ultimately, the element is the trust is being built, so you're going to get more in return because they feel trusted. And they feel actually part of the growth strategy. So, and that's really important for someone. So you can give someone 30, let's say unlimited holidays, or you can give them in fact, a better example is, because it's a live example. So people returning to work after COVID. So we all went remote from COVID. And then there's some businesses that's gone, COVID's died down a little bit. It's not up in the air. People can things are open again. We're going to put everyone back into the office. And they found that people was leaving their jobs pretty quickly because they got back into the mindset. They got into the mindset of working from home, the flexible working. They could pick the kids up from school. They could drop them off in the morning. They could do their everyday life whilst also working and hitting all their numbers. But then businesses, right, you're back in the office. They start leaving their jobs compared to people have gone, the office is there, but just come in when you want. And these businesses were finding that people were actually in the office more than initially people wanted to be working from home anyway. So on a Friday, for example, they thought it was going to be absolutely dead in the office because, it's a Friday. Everyone, it's known that Fridays are take it easy Friday, isn't it?
Yeah.
But what a business has found so one of our clients found was more people was coming into the office because they like the atmosphere on the Friday in the office. They like having their choice, but they chose to come into the office. As soon as someone chooses to go into an office, they're already engaged anyway because they want to be there. That's not a need forced to be there. That's already a real positive outlook on their working day. They got up out of bed, they've gone to the office, they're there with their team members by choice. Everyone there wants to be there. And that's a game changer compared to forcing someone to be in an office. And there's no real, unless you work in manufacturing, healthcare, things like that, there's no real signs or no real evidence that, revenue, productivity has actually dropped since people working from home and having that hybrid work. There's no real concrete research into that. It's actually the opposite.
Yeah, I think you'd be more productive at home when you've not got all the interruptions like you have in an office, have you?
Yeah.
You've got people walking past your desk and stopping for a chat and stuff. So, yeah.
I think the good thing about working in an office though is you've got interaction with different people. You're not sat your own. You're not sat by yourself at a telephone or at a desk. You've got some interaction, some engagement. I think so. I'm a bit old school, Dan. I'm a bit old.
It's important. It's important. So it needs to be. You can't. To real master the employee engagement, there needs to be the element of interaction as well. If you work at home 100% of the time, I've done it. I've been in a job where I worked 100% remotely. I built a shed in my back garden for an office.
Good shed.
Day just sat there in front of my laptop on screen. No actual human interaction. So. And that was really important for me to move on from that because I miss the interaction. I miss the networking. Obviously, it's when I met both of you. And I that's a real important driver for me. But that's the same as anybody else as well. If you're sitting at home and you haven't got the human interaction for going into the office, that's really important, because what you do when you go into the office is you'll get there and you'll make a coffee in the morning, or at some point you go for a coffee and you'll have a conversation with your team members about, the football last night, or, did you see Man City slip up and, then they're now third in the league. These sort of conversations only happen when you're there. If you jump onto a Teams call, it's a very much run it for a reason. You're not having a coffee together, and that's quite a big thing. It's not an old school way of thinking. There needs to be the perfect balance, and then that's the key to it. There needs to be a balance between it's hybrid working, or if you are remote, then it's about getting them engaged still by doing regular updates. And that comes into the communication element that I'll talk about.
Yeah. So there's a lot of factors that contribute to employee engagement.
Yeah, I mean, so how our survey works, we do 11 drivers. We've formulated some questions, but based on these 11 drivers. And this is a common thing as well. So there's other businesses like McKinsey, for example, who do research. So there tends to be the same 11 drivers. What we found is it's the common 3 that's in the bottom every single time we do a survey. This is them saying, look, this is the reason why we possibly leave this business, or we're disengaged. And those bottom 3, two-way communications, future growth opportunities, and feeling valued. So they're the bottom 3. So the tips I'll give today will be based on those 3. I think that's only fair. I can do that. So
yeah.
So we'll start with the two-way communications, and this is where I spoke about earlier. There's no monetary value needed for this. You don't need to spend thousands of pounds on team building exercises or getting them out of the office. You don't have to do that. But what you do have to do is free up your time in your diary. It's amazing how many business owners or managers or senior directors or whoever has a responsibility of a person, how often they do one-to-ones is remarkable. If you ask someone, when was your last one-to-one? The chances are, if you're in a room with 5 people, a bunch of them go, I haven't had one for ages, or I can't remember when my last one was, or it was more of a check-in, just how are you doing, rather than an actual formulated agenda to a one-to-one. And that's where it starts. So what we do at Pro-Development is, so all of the managers there at Pro-Development will say, look, we will have one-to-ones every month. Things happen. So, I might have a client meeting I need to go to, or, I might be off, for example, I might be unwell. And that's absolutely fine. Things happen. But we have a rule that we'll never cancel a one-to-one. You always have to reschedule your one-to-one. So, and that's really important. So you can't always make it, but you have to reschedule it in the month. And and part of that one-to-one isn't just a case of how are you doing? Tell me about your work or whatever. It's not a quick catch-up. You're blocking out an hour to speak to this team member, but asking questions as well of what are your frustrations, but also ask the real intrusive question of what we do is we do are we close? What's the risk of losing you? And it's a tick box. So it's a low, medium, high. And obviously, we want all of our team members to be low, because you don't want to lose anyone, because we value them. So, but things like little tips like that, we put an agenda and sending them a little bit of paper first to say, look, we've got a one-to-one next week. Can you just have a look through this, fill this out, be honest, and then we can address that part of our one-to-one. Things like that actually give talking points anyway. So, but also asking their aspirations, and that leads into the future growth opportunities. There's so many managers aren't asking where their team member wants to be in their life. So my manager, Michelle, Michelle's the founder of Pro-Development. She started 12 years ago. She's all about employee engagement, so passionate. She's amazing. But the one thing she always says to me, because I'm still young, don't feel it, I've got a real bad back, don't feel it.
You are to us, Dan.
Yeah,
very young.
You're a baby, yeah.
But she always checked in on me, because I'm quite an ambitious person. And part of the interview process, I've known her for 7 or 8 months now. She knows how ambitious I am. So she was always checking in on me, saying, Dan, where do you want to be? What can I help you get to? And if she didn't ask that, honestly, I'd become quite stagnant, because there's no one helping me get where I want to be. And I've made it very clear, my aim is to become a director of Pro-Development, and she knows that because she asked that. So now she's helping me. We put a pathway and plan to do that. She knows exactly what she needs to do to make that happen. And that's engagement. So I'm living and breathing Pro-Development now. I'm all about that. So,
yeah, I mean, some people are just happy doing what they're doing, aren't they? And that's fine for them, because they don't want the extra pressure of being made to a manager or being made to promoted to anything. They're happy doing that, but promoted inadvertently by not, just because they've been there so long. But that's not what they're wanting.
And it's amazing because when people assume that they're disengaged as well because they haven't been asked the question. So it's perfect. Like you said, it's perfectly fine for someone to not want a promotion because they're happy with the role they're doing and they're happy with the workload and it works for them. It gives them the best work-life balance. So if that promotion might mean that they need to take on an extra 10 responsibilities, that's adding stress that they probably aren't want. So, we don't know what for asking. But yeah, so the one-to-one, two-way communication is really important. It needs to be an honest conversation. You need to, to genuinely have an agenda of how you're going to speak to them, what's your one-to-one look like, and stick to that. That's really important. You can't. It leads into both the future growth and feeling valued. So for you to know how someone wants to grow and develop, you need to know exactly what they want to do. Hence the one-to-one communication, two-way communications, and the one-to-one meetings. The development and future growth doesn't have to be, people assume that as promotions. It doesn't have to be that. So the next tip I'll give is look at project work. It doesn't have to be a promotion to a manager's level. There's so many people out there, we call them accidental managers because they're really good at their job. They're the best at their job and there's a promotion going. So what they do is because they're the best at their job, they end up getting the promotion. And then they end up struggling for that because they're not, they haven't been developed in that, they haven't got the right skills for it, but also they might not have wanted that. Rather than a promotion, look at project work. So is there another project you can give to someone? So what we do is we do a thing called Fun-Time Frankies, and they're in charge of all our like social elements, so a Christmas party, meals out. They're all in charge of that. So there's 2 Fun-Time Frankies they alternate every year. Well, they're giving they've gone all the way out, so they've got little silly hats and everything like that. So when it goes into a Fun-Time Frankie meeting, they have to wear the silly hat. So one of them the shark eating on the head. I think the one in the minute is some Christmas antlers, feeling festive. So they have to wear that every meeting, but they've got their own budget, and that would change the people doing it will change every year. But there's a specific annual budget for Fun-Time Frankies, and what they spend it on, that's down to them. Their role is they're accountable for the money side of things. Once it's gone, it's gone. But they also need to ensure that our team's doing enough every quarter or every month, whatever they decide. That's their responsibility, and there's no promotion to that, but they've been given responsibility and accountability of monetary value. They're in charge of an element of the business, and it makes engagement anyway. So because they're getting that responsibility. So that would be my second tip. Look at project works. If you can't afford promotion, if you've got a flat hierarchy, there's no promotions going, or your business is scared that there isn't a line of progression through promotions and managers and director roles, then that's not necessarily the end of the world. But look at other ways you can do it, i.e. project management. Can you bring in something like Fun-Time Frankies, or is there a new project that you're about to work on? Let's give it to Joe Blogs and let them handle that project, and we'll just check in every now and then, and give them the accountability and responsibility to obviously show that they're feeling valued. And that goes into the third one. The third one obviously being people are leaving their jobs because they're not feeling valued by their managers. And the stat that I touched on earlier is 62% of people are leaving their jobs because of their manager. So more than half people leaving their jobs because either they don't like their manager, they don't get along with the manager, or they feel like their manager's not competent and they're not feeling valued. A massive stat really. That's a massive portion of people. And the only really way you can do that is by actually making them feel valued. And that's not just by money. You don't need to give them pay rises or commission plans or bonuses or anything like that. You don't need to do anything like that. But if you follow the other two, so if you've got the one-to-ones in place and you stick into that and you show them the value, so you're not cancelling it, and if you can't make it, you're going to rearrange it because it's really important for you to be in that one-to-one, and you're also giving them project work to aid their development, then they're going to feel valued naturally, and that's going to lift up, and they're going to feel like they're actually a person rather than a number in a business, and you're going to be engaged through that. It's going to lift up your engagement. So that would be my 3 tips. If you do it by 2 tips, but the third one naturally will increase because of the other 2. So that'd be what I recommend.
Yeah, no, some good information there. Yeah, some good tips.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, employee engagement and perks. I mean, are perks a thing? I mean, do people appreciate perks? If you said, "Oh, you've got free, I don't know, healthcare," or do people appreciate those, or is it more the sort of interactions that you're talking about, like the one-to-ones and that sort of value that you're talking about? Is it monetary things that people appreciate, or?
Well, it's very much to an individual basis. It's an individual basis. So it's in work. So there's a real well-known thing of the love languages. I don't know if you've both heard of love languages.
No, I don't think I have now.
No, so this I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think there's 5 different love languages, and it's the same for the whole, as a person. So whether they like gifts, or whether it's words of affirmation, or touch is another one. So those things, it's not just in a marriage or a relationship. They've also made the love languages for children, and they've made love languages for work as well. So HR can make the version as well. So it's I would recommend anyone read into the love languages. If they're struggling with employee engagement, love languages is definitely a key read to look into. But the point I'm trying to make there, so everyone's individual. So for me, so healthcare is important to me, because that's part of the package. That's a remuneration. So that should form of your basic pay. Whatever you've got, healthcare part of that's fantastic to me. And that really that pulls me in. And that Pro-Development did that to me. I was open with it. I said, look, this is important to me. That's fine. And that really ticked my box. However, it could also be the opposite way around. So we did a survey. I can't remember the exact dates, but we did a survey for a client. But this client implemented a Fruit Friday. And this is an example of how you can get it completely wrong. So their thoughts was, we'll give them free fruit every Friday. They'd be like,
free fruit every Friday. From Frankie's.
But what they saw from that, so they thought it came from the right place. It was a really good gesture from the partners of the business. So it was a really good gesture. They genuinely thought they were thinking of their employees, and that's fantastic. But it did the opposite effect, because what they thought was, we're doing all this work, and would have just given us some fruit.
Given us an apple. Yeah.
Yeah, we'd much rather have a cream cake.
So, but it is, that's just it's not a clear-cut example, but what I'm trying to say is everyone is different, and you can't blanket everyone the same. So an incentive is an incentive for a person, but you're only going to know what actually incentivizes them, what motivates them, and what drives them if you speak to them.
Yeah, by having a one-to-one, yeah.
By having that one-to-one. So that's the bread and butter of it. That one-to-one, if you have that conversation with someone, you're going to know exactly. But perks, they are good, don't get me wrong. Healthcare is, it's good to get, it shows value of the role. I suppose it shows that, you are thinking to the team members you're offering a healthcare plan. And that's a really good thing to have, to be fair. I wouldn't say it's a deal breaker. I don't think people are necessarily turning it down if an offer down if you haven't got healthcare. I think people will turn a job down if you say, we need you in the office 4 days a week. I think if someone says that's you're turning the job down. And I think if someone has the offer of, this company says I can work 2 days a week in an office, and this one says I can work 3, then they're still probably going to go to the 2 because they've got a more work-life balance. That's the only thing that is a deal breaker. It's the working arrangements. If you get that right, then anything else is kind of, it's just speaking to the team and seeing what they want.
Giving us some good points there. Yeah, some valuable information.
Yes.
And if people do want to get in touch with you and your company, what's the best way, Dan?
So you can go for our website. So it's prodevelopment.co.uk. So you can go through our website there. We've got a contact form. You've got all my details on there as well. We've got a meet the team page, which is an awful photo of me. So if you want to laugh, then look at that and see, and just we'll see you tomorrow morning in York, and you'll just burst that laughing into tears. So. Tracy straight away that she's trying to film.
Are you on LinkedIn as well?
Yes, I'm on LinkedIn as well. My name's Dan Holland on there. You'll see me. It's a funky photo. So I've got me wearing sunglasses with Berlin Wall behind me. So people can connect with me on LinkedIn, send me a message. I do a lot of posts regarding employee engagement on LinkedIn as well. So they can either comment on that, give it a share and stuff like that as well. I can be in touch.
You look about then. Well, when was that taken?
That was taken about 6 weeks ago, believe it or not.
All right. You're getting young.
You're not so bad. So I did a Halloween party. It was just before Halloween, actually, that was taken. So I did a Halloween party, and I decided that I was going to shave my beard. And my costume was like a full clean shave. I went as Pablo Escobar, and he had a mustache. So I shaved the rest of this bit. Then I realised that moustache did not suit me, and Rob did not like me in a moustache. I had to shave it all off, and that was 2 days after. So it was still like it was really stubbly. So you're used to seeing me with some sort of beard on, and I'm used to seeing it as well. And then they decide to take a photo of me whilst I'm 2 days into regrowing my beard.
Oh, well, never mind.
You know what to do when you get another 10 years older? You shave your beard off and you'll look 10 years.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you got a secret weapon there now.
The visual side of things, I definitely don't feel it. I'm 27 and I struggle to walk up the stairs in a minute for my back. So it's
oh God, tell me, mate. Oh no, it's been great talking to you, Dan. And there's been some really useful and insightful information there.
Yeah, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed it. Say it's the first podcast. I think you've been really kind to me as well. So whether you did.
Oh, you did really well. You did really well.
You did good. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
And we'll see you.
Yeah,
Looking forward to it.
Bye, Dan.
Take care, won't you? Bye.
We're almost at the end of this week's show, and just as a reminder before we go, don't forget to book your place at one of our online networking events where you can meet some great business owners and build those business relationships. And if you're in the Leeds, Harrogate or York area, then why not come along to one of our face-to-face events? We'd love to meet you. And remember, the best business comes from the best relationships.
Do you wish you could network with more confidence? We understand the challenges that you face, whether you're new to networking or simply looking to improve your skills. Our networking know-how courses will take you through the process and provide you with practical tips and techniques to help you make more meaningful connections.
We'd also like to mention our books, which are available on Amazon. How to Improve Your Business Networking Skills, 52 tips to help you with your networking. Our Notably Networking One-to-One Networking Notebook, a place to keep all your notes from those follow-up one-to-ones. And last but not least, our 90 Days to Your Success Journal, where you can plan, set and plot the actions you will take to achieve your goals.
Thank you so much for joining us this week on In Business Talks 2 Friday Fix. We hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, all that we ask is that you simply tell a friend about the show, and please follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'd really appreciate it. Until next time, this is Ian and Tracy, and together we are in business. Goodbye.
Goodbye.